What's up, guys? It's your girl Jetty. One second, get my volume together here. Doing a bit much. Empress Jetty, the rabble rouser. Let's have a little chat. Before we get started, sorry guys, give me a second. Y'all know my I need like a crew, okay? Because this stuff, this part of the process is a little troublesome for me. Trying to get wires and stuff plugged to the right plug and. Anyway, hi. Yah be glorified, magnified, and praised. Please speak truth. Amen. Before we get started, guys, if you haven't already, please go to my YouTube channel and check out the playlist called The Culture. Those are original songs by me. They're in their very first stage. They're really just like the concept. Trying to get somebody to work on them with me, and so in their final form they'll have like chorus, a bunch of the hooks are already written and the other parts and things, but that's just like the basic song, and I think you guys will like them. I'd love some feedback if you guys are digging the sound and the content and thing like that. So yeah, check that out and hit me up, like, subscribe, share. Sharing's caring. And let's get into this discussion, shall we? We'll try to keep it brief. When you are dealing with people's trauma, there is a sure way that you can tell if this is a person who is in an active phase of dealing with that trauma or not, okay? People who are actually dealing with the trauma, doing the work that they have to do to accept their role in it, if any, doing the work that they have to do to release people of responsibility that they may have falsely held accountable for whatever the trouble was that they went through, releasing people and forgiving people who were responsible for whatever the trauma was that they went through, which could include seeing things from that person's perspective, which may include taking into account information that they haven't wanted to consider before because they were so hurt that they didn't want to hear or accept the explanation. These kinds of things, right? Here is how you know. There is one sure way to know if a person is doing the work of dealing with their trauma or if they are just existing in the trauma and kind of wallowing in it, right? If when they talk about the trauma, if they're just kind of rolling around in it versus like standing up and like washing themselves of it, right? And this is not a judgment. Some people, look, people love their trauma, whatever. I'm not getting into that, right? But for the righteous, we have a call and an assignment. We are supposed to be doing certain stuff here, okay? And spiritual and emotional progression are like it, right? And so, and natural progression, like we have to progress on all three levels. And so when you have when you're interacting with people, you will want to know that you're building with people who are on the same kind of healing path as you versus people who are not on a healing path, because how can two walk together unless they agree? The healing path goes this way, the not healing path goes that way. So if you start building something right here and then you wonder why it just won't come together, it's because the people you're building with are going in a different direction than you, right? So we've got to be able to figure some of this stuff out. So with that being said, let's just get right to it because I don't want to be long. A person that is dealing with their trauma, when they talk about the trauma, it is going to be how you talk about a scene of a play. It is a context that does determine a lot of aspects of what is going on in that person's spiritual, emotional, and natural life, right? But it's just the context, right? Now, a person who is not dealing with that trauma, the context is the story itself, right? It's different. So what I mean by that, and I'm going to be over 5 minutes. I was trying to keep it under 5, but sorry guys, I'll get better at being brief. So what I mean by that is, okay, let's think of a good example. Okay, I'll use an example from my own life, right? I stopped being a hoe, right? When it occurred to me why, right? That sexual abuse in my childhood led to a sense of low self-worth and led to a sense of not having even permission over my own body. My body was for use for other people. And when I got that information, now I'm able to tell myself a new internal narrative. Now I don't have to act out the behaviors that went with the old narrative. So then, when I was in a situation that might have previously led to some sexual encounter, I was able to contextualize it and say, why is this exciting to you? You don't even know this person or find them attractive, right? It's only exciting to you because you feel like your value is tied up in how useful you are to men's sexual desires. And so you value yourself more than that. So walk away from this encounter. Don't even give this person your phone number. And so you are going to start to implement changes that are going to have to cause you to arrest yourself and your thinking, that are going to show a context of healing, versus if I take the phone number, meet the guy for lunch that day, we, have some random sexual encounter, and I say, it's because I was molested when I was a little girl and I have low self-worth, and I'm going to now recycle it. I'm going to cry after the sex, and I feel so dirty and I'm so useless, and start telling myself those things, and I'm going to, solicit other people to join me in my commisery, or maybe I mask it and I celebrate it and I act like it doesn't matter. There's all this stuff that goes with not doing the work. But there's one sure thing that will tell you if the person is doing the work. If the person is doing the work, the trauma is only as significant as the scene of any particular movie that you watch. It has something to do with the story, but it's not the story. It is simply something that they are dealing with in their life. It's not the story of their life, right? And so that's... I hope that was clear. Another way that you can tell with this is if a person goes in loops when you talk to them, right? They say they don't trust women. You say, why? They say because their mom never kept promises. And you say, but actually you've told me more stories of your mom keeping promises than not. I know she didn't keep her promise on your 5th birthday, which was a really big deal to you. But the reality is that she kept most of her promises according to the stories that you've told me, right? And then they're going to say, no, she never keeps promises. And then you're going to say, wow, that sucks. That's really sucks to have a mom that never keeps promises, right? And then they're either going to defend her now. Now they'll switch and be like, how are you going to talk about my mom? My mom's a wonderful woman. Right? Like, no, I wasn't saying she wasn't a wonderful woman. I was just agreeing with you that she never keeps promises, according to your testimony. Or, right, they're going to go to the, how could you say my mom is, you don't know my mother, right? I told you she doesn't keep promises. You're trying to tell me she keeps promises? And you're like, I'm basing this on your testimony. You've told me 10 stories where she did keep a promise and 1 where she didn't. But you keep saying she never keeps promises. And so these kinds of loops that they're abandon reason and logic, right, show you that this is not a person, no matter how many times they want you to go in those loops with them in the name of their working on it. They are not working on it until they, of their own accord, decide to take any action to break the loop, right? Now, a lot of people don't know they're going in a loop, but it doesn't take long to make that awareness, and they will become aware, and you'll see what people do when they become aware. People that want to keep their trauma will become aware of the loop and still return to it, because they'll call that working on it, right? That they need time, or that the fact is they're just not ready. They do need time. But let's not mistake working on it for not working on it. They're 2 different things, and they're going to produce 2 different types of results. Word. Yah be glorified, magnified, Y'all stay up.